Hello, my garden friends. This is Jersey Shore Lisa with MyNJGarden.com, and in today's video we're going to talk about propagating fig trees. My home is in Ocean County, New Jersey, and that is at the Jersey Shore. We are right on the cusp of zone 6B, 7A as far as USDA planting zones go. So my fig trees do need to be protected through the winter months. I pruned back my figs and wrapped them, and that's in a previous video, so I'll link to it in the description. So now I have all these branches that I pruned off my fig tree, and I want to use those to make new fig trees. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. What I have here as far as supplies go, I have these plastic cups, and I'd like to use these to root my figs. Now I think these are going to work out really well. They're a fairly good size. They're 18-ounce plastic cups, and I got them from Walmart. They're just Solo cups, but they are clear instead of the traditional red Solo cup because I want that clear plastic so I can see the root development and see if I'm successful or if my cuttings are failing. I'm sure there are other more eco-friendly options, but I definitely want to be able to see through these cups, so I'm going to use these. I also have seed starting mix, but this is great for cuttings too. It's very light and fluffy. It's mixed with peat and perlite, so the roots, the brand new roots, are not going to have trouble finding their way through this mix, and I think it's going to work out really well. Any kind of seed starting mix is going to be fine for you, but this is just the one that I found when I went to Home Depot the last time I went. And so over here in a bucket, I have my branches that I pruned off of the fig tree. So they are ready to go, and I'll show you what we're going to do. I'm going to put all these cups, once I get them in the cups, I'm going to put them in this container, and I'll end up putting a piece of glass or plexiglass over the top of it, and then I'll put them in my basement under grow lights and check on them and make sure that the moisture is good, that there's no mildew happening, and that they stay very happy under those grow lights, and hopefully we'll get a lot of new figs next year. So here's how we're gonna do it. Oh, I also have rooting hormone. So this is an old, it's probably a couple of years old. It's Bontone rooting powder, and it's just powdered rooting hormone. Fig trees notoriously root very well on their own. So you generally would just need to clip a piece of a fig tree and put it into soil and you'll get another fig. But this is just kind of insurance to make sure that I have as much success as possible. I really want all of my rooted cuttings to take, so I'm gonna hedge my bets and use rooting powder as well. So here's how we're gonna do this. I have my cup here, and I want to make some drainage holes in the bottom of it. You don't want to drown your new roots and your cuttings. You want to keep things moist but not too wet. So what I'm doing is taking a razor blade and just nicking off the edges of the bottom of the cup, like so. And I'm supposed to be catching my little plastic pieces in this plate, but they're kind of flipping all around, so that's not working. I'm not even gonna bother. Okay, so now I have 4 little holes. Let's get real close so you can see. I don't know if you can see that I've nicked those holes, but that's plenty of drainage. So now I'm going to fill this cup with the seed starting mix, and then I'm going to take a branch. And what you're looking for is you definitely want some of these nodes on here. Thankfully, I waited until the leaves had dropped for the most part, or I stripped them off. So you don't really want leaves on them at this point. And I'm gonna take a cutting right below the last leaf node. I want the pieces to be about 7 or 8 inches long, and I'm just gonna take a cut right below a node, and I'm gonna cut on kind of an angle. Now I washed my clippers to make sure that everything is nice and clean, and I'm not gonna be spreading any disease. And you can kind of see this is a really happy live branch because it's actually weeping right after I clipped it. So there's a lot of sap and activity going on in there. That's great to get your cutting started. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna poke a hole. You can use anything to poke a hole down into your seed starting mix. And then I'm gonna wet the branch a little bit on the bottom. And I'm gonna dip it in the rooting hormone and get some good coverage, tap it off. So now I have that rooting powder on there, and I'm just gonna put that down into the cup and tuck it in. And now I'm gonna get a little more of the seed starting mix and fill that cup back up. And that's it. And so now I'm ready to go. I'm gonna water this, and I'm gonna put it into this container with all my other ones, and then I'll put it under the lights and I'll check it. And really, in a couple of weeks, you'll start to see those buds swell and leaf out, and then you'll have new figs to plant on your own property or to give away or to sell. It's a great way to make free new plants. So here, I'll do one more. Don't forget those drainage holes, because that will really, if you do all the other steps and then you forget to put drainage, you have to start over. So now it was easy to tell which way I was gonna cut, because that was the end of the branch that I took. But now, once you start cutting, you might get confused and be like, which side should I cut from? Which side should be pointing up? But if you take a close look at the leaf buds, at the little nodes, you can see which way was up. The leaf nodes are kind of pointing up. So hopefully you can see that. And that was pointing up towards the sky. That's the way you want to orient your branches when you put them into the mulch. You don't want to put them into the seed starting mix. You don't want to put them in like this and have roots coming out of where the top should be. It'll be very confused. So you want to have it grow like this, the way it naturally would. So here again, I'm going to take that cutting right down here under that node. And wet it a little bit. Putting it into the rooting hormone so it's nice and coated. Tuck it in. You make that hole first to put the branch in there, so that when you put it in, you're not knocking all the rooting hormone off of the stick. You've wet it and you've gotten the rooting hormone to stick to it. So now you just want to place it into that hole and then move the soil all around it so that the rooting hormone still has good contact with your cutting. So now I have some room in the top, so I'll add a little bit more seed starting mix and and tuck that in. And there we have it. Now we have 2 cuttings ready to go. So this pack of cups has 25 cups in it. I'm sure I'll get at least that many cuttings, and I'll have lots of new figs in the spring. Let me know if you've ever started new trees from cuttings and what your method is to propagate your plants, if you've ever made new fig trees on your own. I'd love to hear about your experience and if you do anything differently than I do, and what your success is like. So please leave me a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. Please share it with your friends if you think they'd like it too. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.